Right now, somewhere near you, a baby is crying. Maybe it's on the other side of a wall. Maybe it's coming through someone's phone speaker on a crowded train. Maybe it's not even real, just a sound effect from a TV show playing in the next room. It doesn't matter. Your body already reacted. Your shoulders tightened. Your attention snapped toward it. Something inside you shifted before your brain had a chance to decide whether you cared. That wasn't politeness. That wasn't parental instinct. That was something far older than either of those things. The cry of an infant is one of the most acoustically powerful sounds on earth. Not loud, not complex, but engineered over millions of years to be virtually impossible for the human nervous system to ignore. Engineered isn't a metaphor. It is exactly what happened. And understanding why it works on you, even if you've never wanted children, even if you actively dislike them, reveals something uncomfortable about how much of your inner life you're actually in control of. Your brain has a region called the amygdala. You've probably heard of it. It processes threat, emotion, and urgency. It's old, older than language, older than reasoning, and it responds to infant cries before your conscious mind even registers that a sound has occurred. Neuroscientist James Swain at the University of Michigan spent years scanning the brains of new parents as they listened to their own babies cry. The amygdala lit up immediately. But here is the part that surprises people. The amygdala lit up in non-parents too. In people who had never held an infant, the activation was slightly weaker, slightly slower, but it was there. The sound bypassed their preferences, their decisions, their entire biography, and reached something underneath all of that. Think about what that means. You carry a response inside you that was not placed there by your experience. It was placed there by something that happened long before you were born. Go back about 2 million years. Your ancestors are living in small bands across the African savanna. There is no shelter that locks. There are no walls. Predators move at night. Resources are scarce. The group survives together, or it does not survive at all. In that world, a crying infant is a liability. A crying infant makes noise. Noise attracts predators. A crying infant left unattended can die, and the death of offspring is the end of your genetic line. The pressure on every adult nearby, not just the mother, not just the father, to respond quickly and effectively to an infant's cry was enormous. The individuals who felt that pressure, who could not tune it out, whose nervous systems treated that sound as urgent and non-optional, those individuals helped keep infants alive. Their genes kept moving forward. The ones who could ignore it easily, who could sleep peacefully through a baby's screams, tended to be part of groups where infants died more often. Their genes moved forward less. This is what natural selection looks like up close. It's not dramatic. It's not a decision. It's just, this trait produced survival. That one didn't. And after 1,000 generations, the math is settled. Researcher Morten Kringelbach at Oxford studied infant faces and infant cries with the same framework. He found that the human brain has specific networks dedicated to processing infant signals. The soft round face, the large forehead, the high-pitched wail, and those networks activate rapidly and involuntarily across cultures, across languages, across age groups. His work confirmed what the evolutionary logic predicted. This is not learned. The response is wired before the experience begins. Now go back to that train, back to that sound bleeding through the wall. Your shoulders tightened before you made any choice, because you didn't make a choice. Something 2 million years old made it for you. But here's where it gets stranger. The frequency of a human infant's cry sits in a very specific range, roughly 300 to 600 hertz. That range overlaps almost exactly with the frequency range that the human auditory cortex is most sensitive to. Some researchers believe this is not a coincidence. That infant cries evolved over time to hit the exact frequency band where the adult human ear is least able to filter or suppress incoming sound. The cry is not just loud, it is targeted. It is aimed at a gap in your defenses that you didn't know you had. Psychologist Michael Esposito at the University of Toronto conducted a study in which adults were given a simple cognitive task, a puzzle, while different background sounds played. Some heard ambient noise. Some heard adult conversation. Some heard a recording of an infant crying. The group that heard the crying performed significantly worse on the task. Their attention was pulled, their focus fractured. The sound had literally degraded their ability to concentrate on something else. They couldn't just tune it out and keep working. The cry had inserted itself into their cognitive load whether they wanted it there or not. This is not a flaw in your design. This is the design. Your ancestors, who sat calmly working on a task while an infant nearby screamed, were not more productive. They were more likely to be members of groups where infants died. So the trait that makes you unable to ignore a crying baby is the same trait that kept human infants alive long enough for the species to keep going. You are here because your ancestors could not concentrate through that sound. But there's something else. Something the evolutionary story doesn't fully explain on its own. The emotional response is not just urgency. It's not just alert. It's discomfort. Most people describe the feeling of hearing a baby cry as actively unpleasant. Not neutral urgency, unpleasant urgency. And that distinction matters. A sound that merely got your attention could be ignored if you decided the situation wasn't your problem. But a sound that makes you feel bad until it stops, that's different. That is a sound that motivates you to do something about it. The discomfort is the mechanism. It drives you toward action because action is the only thing that makes the feeling go away. Pick up the baby, comfort the baby, confirm that the baby is okay, and the feeling lifts. Leave the situation unresolved, and the discomfort stays with you. Your nervous system has made the emotional arithmetic very simple. Fix the problem and feel better, or carry the discomfort. This is not unique to infants. Pain works the same way. Hunger works the same way. These are all versions of the same architecture. The body creates an aversive state that only resolves when the appropriate behavior is performed. The difference is that the crying baby creates that aversive state in adults who are not even biologically related to the infant. The radius of the response extends beyond the parent. It extends to every adult nearby. Because in the environment your ancestors evolved in, every adult nearby was probably kin, and every infant's survival mattered to the group. The anthropologist Sarah Hrdy spent decades studying cooperative child-rearing in primates and early human societies. Her research describes what she calls alloparenting, the practice of non-parent group members helping to raise offspring. She found that human infants are uniquely adapted to solicit care from multiple adults, not just their biological parents. The cry, the face, the behaviors, all of it is calibrated to pull care from any available adult, not a specific one. And the adults in those groups were calibrated to respond. It was a system. Both sides evolved together. When you feel that tightening in your chest on the train, you are participating involuntarily in a system of cooperative care that is 2 million years old. You are one node in a network your ancestors built, not with intention, not with planning, just with survival. Now bring it forward into the world you actually live in. Airports, supermarkets, restaurants, places where babies cry in public and strangers grow visibly tense, visibly uncomfortable, visibly unable to pretend they don't hear it. The parents often apologize. The other adults often say it's fine while their jaws tighten. Nobody is wrong in this exchange. The parents are managing something genuinely difficult. The strangers are managing a response they did not choose and cannot fully suppress. The baby is doing exactly what 2 million years of evolution shaped it to do, making it neurologically difficult for every adult in the room to ignore its distress. There is no off switch for this. You cannot decide not to be a human whose nervous system was shaped by the savannah. But knowing where the response comes from changes something. The discomfort on the train is not irritation at the parents. It's not impatience. It's an ancient alarm doing exactly what it was built to do, in a world the alarm was never designed for. The crying hasn't changed. The alarm hasn't changed. The world around it is the only thing that has. Tonight, when you hear a baby cry, through a wall, across a room, bleeding out of someone's phone, notice the moment before you react. The fraction of a second where your shoulders move before your thoughts do. That movement is not you. Or it is you, but it's a version of you that is 2 million years old and has never once stopped working. And in that moment, you're not on a train or in a restaurant. You're on a savannah, and somewhere nearby, something small and vulnerable needs to make it through the night.